All right, so starting on number 11, this time they do not provide you with a picture, but that doesn't change the process. If you notice on every single one of these, we hardly paid attention to the whole shape. All we really cared about was how many sides it had, and then we focused on that one triangle in every single one. So I'm going to hone in directly to a central angle of a nonagon. A nonagon has 9 sides. Here would be the apothem, perpendicular to a side. So this is like if I had, 9 sides extending out from this, etc. But this is just my one central angle. So if that's one central angle of a full circle, I do that little side calculation. 360 divided evenly by all 9 central angles tells me that this entire central angle is worth 40, which makes each one of these bisected 20. So we know that it has a perimeter of 117. Okay, so that means if I have 117 feet divided evenly by all 9 sides, each side, this entire side is worth 13. If that entire side is worth 13, it makes each one of these worth 6.5. Which means at this point, I'm going to erase these little side things now, which means at this point, I have almost everything I need for the equation. 1/2 times the apothem, which we still need, times our perimeter, which we were told was 117. And now we do some trigonometry to find that apothem. From the 20 degrees point of view, I know the side opposite. We want the side adjacent, so tangent of 20 equals the opposite 6.5 over the adjacent apothem. When we do our cross multiplication, we wind up with 6.5 divided by tangent of 20. You can pause the video and do your cross multiplication, make sure you're getting that too. But that tells me that the apothem is approximately 17.9. So we have 1/2 times 17.9-ish times 117. And that gives us an area of approximately 1,047.15 feet squared. That's letter Z. So wherever we see an 11, we put a Z. Number 12. This time we have a hexagon, so that's a 6-sided shape. So if I focus on one central angle of a hexagon with the apothem drawn down the center, 360 degrees divided evenly by all 6 central angles tells me that this entire angle is 60, but that actually makes each one of these worth 30. They don't give me the perimeter this time. What they tell me is that one of the sides is 4. And if one side is 4, it means all sides are 4. It also means each one of those side halves is worth 2. So to find our area, 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. And well, I can find the perimeter right now. Each side is worth 4. A hexagon has 6 sides, so my perimeter is going to be 4 times 6, which is 24. And now we use trigonometry to find our apothem. From the 30s point of view, I know the side that's opposite. I want the side that's adjacent, so I'm using tangent. And that's going to be equal to 2 over A, opposite over adjacent. Again, if you do the cross multiplication, you should end up with calculating 2 divided by tangent of 30, which gives us an apothem that is approximately 3.5. So I do my 3.5 times 1/2 times my perimeter of 24, and I have an area of 42 feet squared. That's letter N. Number 13. This time they're talking about a pentagon, so we know we're dealing with 5 sides, and they're giving us the apothem. So cool. Area is 1/2 times our apothem of 7.5, and now we're going to use that to find the perimeter. Just like the last couple of problems, I'm going to draw out a single central angle in my pentagon. I know my apothem is going straight down the center perpendicularly, and I know right now that it's worth 7.5. I know that if this apothem were inside of a circle worth 360 degrees, each one of the 5 central angles would be worth 72, but that really just means that each one of these is worth 36. So now we use trig in order to find this portion of a side of the pentagon. So tangent of 36 degrees equals the opposite x over the adjacent apothem of 7.5. When I do my cross multiplication, I have 7.5 times tangent of 36. I have this side is approximately 5.4, but then I remember that that's only half of the side, so the entire side is more like 10.8. And if there are 5 sides worth 10.8, I'm going to have a perimeter of approximately 54. So 54 times the 7.5 times the half gives me an area of about 202.5 feet squared. This is number 13, and I'm going to use letter R. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Number 14. An octagon, so we're dealing with 8 sides with a perimeter of 96, so I know right away in my formula, 1/2 times the apothem times 96. So we're going to use the perimeter to find the apothem. We draw out a single central angle. We know the apothem goes straight down the center of it in a perpendicular direction. The octagon would contain 8 central angles, so 360 divided by all 8 evenly tells us that each central angle is 45 degrees, but that makes each one of these worth 22.5. If the perimeter is 96 and there are 8 sides, that means each side is worth 12, which means half of it is 6. And now we do our trig. From 22.5's point of view, we're going to do tangent of that angle is equal to the opposite 6 over the adjacent apothem that we're looking for. So I do my cross multiplication. I end up having to do 6 divided by tangent of 22.5, and we get an apothem worth approximately 14.5. So 14.5 times a half times a perimeter of 96 gives us an area of about 696 feet squared. That gives me letter H. Okay, at this point it's very obvious that our last question should have an answer of 140, so that our puzzle says, because pepper water makes them sneeze. But that's not the point of the whole sheet. The whole sheet is to show your work for this. So let's show that question 15 is 140. We have a triangle with a side length of 18 feet. Please don't get confused when I go to draw a central angle to a triangle, since it also is a triangle. If I'm looking at a triangle with a side length of 18, makes all of them 18, that's fine. So far we know we have an area of 1/2 times a mystery apothem times a perimeter of 54, 18 times 3. Remember that the apothem doesn't go down the entire triangle, it goes from the center to the side. So we would really be creating a central angle within the triangle. So we have a triangle formed inside the triangle. So if the entire circle around the triangle were split into 3 central angles, it makes this whole thing 120, which makes each one of these worth 60. If the entire side is 18, it means this portion and this portion are each 9. So we use trigonometry. From 60's point of view, we know the side that's opposite, and we want the side that's adjacent. We want the apothem. So what we're going to have is opposite 9 over apothem A, and we're going to use tangent of 60 to do that. So tangent of 60 equals opposite 9 over adjacent A. When I cross multiply, I end up having to do 9 divided by tangent of 60. That gives me an apothem of approximately 5.2. So 5.2 times the half times 54 gives me 140.4 feet squared, which is approximately 140 feet squared like we saw down here for P. Okay, I hope you have no questions. If you do, let me know. Peace out, geometry students.